Hi again. So I'd like to continue the discussion of auto layout. And you can see here I'm continuing with my project here, and I have this button in the upper left corner. What if I wanted to place the button in the upper right? So, to do that, I'm going to delete the constraints that I have there, and then I'll move the button over to the upper right here. And you can see it looks pretty good in this view, but when I switch to the horizontal view, it's not quite right. Okay, too much distance. That's because this is a fixed distance here. So what can I do about that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'll select the button here, and I'm going to use the same options I did before, except for one will be a little bit different, but the same type of options, right? And I can choose pin, top space to super view. Instead of doing it that way, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Another way that we can do the same option here, pin top to super view, is by holding the control key and then clicking and dragging on the object. So I'm holding the control key down on the keyboard, and then I'm going to drag up off of the object like this towards the top. Okay? And then I get a menu here, and it says top space to top layout guide. So I'll choose that, and then I'll control click and drag to the right side, and I can choose trailing space to container margin. So trailing space is the space on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to choose that, and it gives me an edge to the margin rather than the super view. It's a little bit different than choosing the option here, but effectively, it'll give me the distance to this margin element. So if this ever moves, then the button will move too. But otherwise, it's the same as the leading space to super view or trailing space to super view. So leading space is on the left and trailing is on the right. Okay, and then the top margin is the same, right? You'll notice now, though, my button is in the correct spot here, right? And if I rotate back, it's still in the upper right, okay? Now, the height and width haven't been set, and that's kind of a problem, right? I need to make sure I set those. And we can do that also with the control drag method. If you control drag and you don't, drag off of the button, then it'll give me width. And if I drag up but I don't drag off the button, I can choose height here. Okay, and now you can see my button has the right height and width for the layout there. Okay, so let's do that one more time in a slightly different way. I'm going to open these up and delete all of the constraints there and start over again. Right. So another way to do this is to use these buttons here, and I'm going to go to the buttons at the bottom of the screen, and the second one with a little box in the middle, it says pin, and essentially these are very similar options to what you have on the editor menu, okay, under pin. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to pin the top edge, right? So I'll just click the little bar there. So I'm going to add a constraint along the top, and then I want to add a constraint along the right side, and then maybe I also want to constrain the width and height. Okay, so that's pretty much the same options that we had last time, except I'm doing it from this menu down here. And then I'll say add 4 constraints. Okay, and that pretty much does everything that we did the last time, except I just used a different method to do it. Okay, so anyway, so there's our layout there. And you can see that's kind of working okay. That doesn't solve all problems, but that's kind of, a situation that you might be in. You might want to stick something to the upper right like that.